Hi, thanks for tuning in to Noir Histoire. I'm Natasha, and before we get into today's career interview, I want to let you know that I'm looking for career interview subjects. Please click the link in the description if you or someone you know might be interested in participating. The link will take you to the career interviews page on the Noir Histoire website where you can find info about the interview process and submit a request to participate. On this episode of the Career Interview Series, we're joined by Lloyd Cambridge, a small business educator hailing from my hometown, Brooklyn, New York. Lloyd's interest in entrepreneurship began when he was a kid growing up in Brownsville, dreaming of being the cool kid with the fly clothes and the latest Jordans. Studying abroad for a semester in Madrid, Spain started out a bit rocky, but ended up being a memorable life experience. Lloyd's economics major, combined with an internship at Lord & Taylor, landed him a post-college job at one of his dream companies, J.P. Morgan Chase & Co. Since then, Lloyd's career has focused on educating and helping entrepreneurs launch and grow small businesses. I'll be back after the interview with some key takeaways. So we are here today with Lloyd Cambridge, founder and CEO of Progress Playbook. First question, could you give me a brief overview of your background? Where are you from and where's your family from?
Yeah, sure. So thank you, one, for having me on the show. My name is Lloyd Cambridge. I'm the founder of Progress Playbook. I'll tell you a little bit more about what that is in a little bit. But I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Went to NYU here in the city, studied economics, minored in Spanish. Don't ask me to speak any Spanish today. It's really bad. I always had a love for entrepreneurship and business. And spent a lot of my career, which we'll talk about, supporting business owners. But again, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I've been here in my entire life. Had a little stint when I was in college where I spent a semester in Madrid, Spain, which is pretty cool. So that was like living somewhere else for a period of time. But my family's also here from New York as well. So my family's here, but originally they're from the South, Savannah, Georgia, and they migrated to the North back in the 80s, I believe, or actually before that, not 80s. I want to say 60s. Yeah.
Okay. Both your mom and dad are from Savannah?
My mom and my father are both from New York.
Oh, their parents are from elsewhere. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But their family or their parents are from Savannah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So, tell me a little bit about you as a kid. What were your interests as a kid? What were like your favorite subjects and then things outside of school as well?
Trying to remember. I'm like, as a kid, it feels so long ago. As a kid, I enjoyed, I was pretty much like a nerd as a kid, to be honest. I had my friends. I was really into school. I really wanted to do a good job in school. But I also had a lot of extracurricular activities. So I was on the basketball team, which I wasn't good at that. I did like baseball. What else did I do? Trying to remember. I also was in a few clubs as well as growing up. So I just had an interest in like business and community building. So I did a lot of that in high school. So we had like a business club that I was a part of as well. But growing up was good. I had a good time growing up. Growing up in Brooklyn, although it was, looking back now, you see some of the challenges and just kind of growing up in a low income neighborhood. But in that moment or in that time frame, it didn't appear as a challenge to me now. But looking back, I see all the challenges that me and my family kind of went through growing up. But, generally speaking, I was a good kid, wanted to do well in school, had friends, did extracurricular activities. And I had a good childhood.
Okay. What particular like neighborhood were you from in Brooklyn? Where did you grow up?
Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Okay. Yes. All right. And you mentioned that you were really into school. You remember like what your favorite subjects were or like what you were good at?
I really enjoyed history. I remember like really, I don't know, I really enjoyed learning about all different types of cultures and people. So that was probably one of my favorite subjects was history. Um, I think I wanted to explore cultures and explore, how other people lived. As a kid, I did a program called the Fresh Air Fund, which is a camp where they take you away out of the city to go to, I believe it was upstate, either upstate New York or Pennsylvania. I don't remember where, but essentially they take, students or kids from low income neighborhoods, and they take you to camp for, I believe it was like 2 or 3 weeks. I did it once, but for me, like that was like my first time. Like I was so excited to go. And I have 2 sisters who are younger than me, and they did not want to go, but I wanted to be the one to explore and see what else was out there outside of my neighborhood. Um, so yeah, I've always had like this exploratory kind of vibe where I wanted to see other cultures and learn about cultures. And that's why I also, when I got to college, spent some time in Spain, because again, I wanted that spirit of wanting to learn other cultures didn't leave me. So I spent some time there and then did a lot of traveling after being exposed to my first country outside of America.
Okay. And so, during high school, did you work during that time, or were you like on any sports teams or anything like that?
Yeah, so as a kid, excuse me, I wanted to start a business. I wanted to be like that fly kid, like that cool kid who had the Jordans and nice clothes and kind of go out to parties and things like that with my friends, but didn't really have a lot of financial backing or support or resources to make some of those things happen. So as a kid, I remember being like 10 years old, wanting, or 11, wanting to do some of those things, and I didn't have money. I was like, what am I going to do? I'm too young to actually work. So I wanted to start a business. And at that time, I was, you have to be 14 in New York to get your working papers to be able to work. So I didn't work. I didn't start a business as a kid. I wanted to, but I was afraid. I was nervous. I was like, what am I going to do? I'm only like, I'm so young. People are not going to take me seriously. But my first job, I remember looking through the newspapers. I'm like dating myself now. I think I was 14 actually. So this spirit of like entrepreneurship was still in me, but I was like, I need money at the age of 14 now. I wanted to like, work. And I got my first job working for this Project Reach Youth. And it was a peer-to-peer youth education program where they pretty much taught us about like STDs, and then we had to go out into the community and like teach other young people about like safe sex and things like that. So that was my first job at 14 years old, being a peer educator, which is really cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So did you go to like
But
others?
I had a huh?
So in that program, was it like going to other schools and educating kids, or was it like a one-on-one kind of thing?
It was schools. We went to different community groups.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like wherever we could talk, like wherever the organization essentially um, had an audience that they could set up, and that's where we would go. We would do like street walks. We would give out condoms and things like that. Um, so yeah, I remember doing that, and then I brought a couple of my friends in. So we didn't get a lot of money. I think we got paid like a stipend, like maybe once or twice a month. Uh, but my goal or my objective was to get paid. I was like, how am I going to get, And that was a program that paid you to be an advocate for safe sex and things like that.
Okay. And then following high school, what college did you attend? And beyond that, what motivated you to attend that college? Was it like something about the environment, a particular major? What was like your decision-making process?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back for a second. So after Project Reach Youth, I had a ton of jobs like throughout high school. Like I worked
Okay.
at the Gap. I worked at Macy's. I had a lot of retail jobs as well. So I worked at a company called Sam Goody, and I worked at a watch company in a mall called Kings Plaza in Brooklyn. So I had a lot of retail jobs throughout high school. And then, so I went to Canarsie High School, which is in Canarsie, Brooklyn. And I was in a specialized engineering program in Canarsie. And So at the time, I was dating someone, and she went to NYU. So I was like in my junior year, I guess, and I wasn't really exposed to a ton of like schools and universities and colleges. So anyway, I went to go visit her at NYU several times, and when I was on a campus, people thought that I was already a college student. And I didn't know at the time that NYU was a good school. So the only reason like why I applied was because she was going to the school. So I was like, oh, like I should apply to this school too. So I wound up applying to NYU, not knowing that it was like an amazing school. And I applied to several other schools like Morehouse and I forget the other, Cornell, Penn State, a few schools. But anyway, I wound up getting accepted into NYU and found out that it was like a really great school. And a few of my other friends that went to Canarsie with me also got accepted. So yeah, I decided to move forward with NYU, but I was introduced to it through someone I was dating.
Okay. And so once you got into NYU and you actually became a college student there rather than just visiting, how was the experience?
It was cool. I mean, I was a commuter student, so I didn't, again, I was born and raised in New York, so I didn't stay on campus. Um, so for me, because education was important, I was there to learn. I met like some really great people. The high school that I went to was very predominantly like African American, Caribbean. I would say like 99%. So I wasn't really exposed to, I guess, other races and cultures as much. So when I got to NYU, I got to see more diversity. So you had all cultures, and it was just really all races and cultures. So I had to kind of get acclimated to working and partnering and becoming friends with people that didn't look like me, which is what I wanted. Yeah, so like NYU was a great experience. I got to again, I was introduced to traveling, so I went to again studied abroad in Spain, and from there did a ton of traveling while in college because of that experience. And yeah, I mean, it's like the city is your playground essentially, right? So it's in Lower Manhattan, and the city was our playground. Met a lot of great people, and yeah, it was a good experience overall.
Okay. So you spoke about the difference in like the demographics of the two schools, so when you went to Canarsie High School, most of the students looked like you. When you got to NYU, you had an opportunity to interact with people from different backgrounds and whatnot. But beyond that, do you think there was like a big transition between like your high school experience or your expectations in high school, your workload and things like that versus your experience in college?
I mean, I worked hard in high school. I think excuse me, graduated like number three in my school out of like 300 students. And then I worked hard, equally as hard when I got to college. I mean, the workload um, it was a lot of work, and I wish I had like a little bit more fun in college. I feel like I was again like the work habit of like studying. I think I did it a little bit too much, and I kind of had a little bit more fun. I did have fun. Don't get me wrong, but I could have had a little bit more fun, and had a little bit more balance. But in terms of the differences outside of like cultures and backgrounds and races, I would say, just kind of like being a little bit more independent. Like once you get to college, you're more independent. You don't have you have a schedule, but you're not, so like when you're in junior high school in New York, you typically have the same students that you're kind of moving to different classes with. And where in college, obviously, you choose your own schedule. Each class has a different people in it. So it's a little bit more autonomy and flexibility, which I liked, that I had to get used to kind of managing myself in a different way, uh, versus kind of like a more structured approach in high school. So that was another shift or change in addition to kind of interacting with uh, people from other backgrounds and the workload. I was used to just working hard anyway. I just took it up a notch once I got to college.
Being that you were a commuter student, do you think it might have been a different experience, or do you feel like you missed out on anything by not living on campus?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah, so that's like one of, I guess, my regrets with college is not having not living on campus. I heard a lot of great stories. I still hear stories from friends today that lived on campus. Although I did go to like the parties and things like that, I think that it would have been a different experience. But because I grew up in New York, I had a lot of friends from like high school and my neighborhood. So I would, go to campus and then go back to my neighborhood and then, have my friends there. So socially, I didn't miss out really on anything, but it would have been nice to have that experience. And that was another reason why I decided to study abroad, to have that experience as well, like not living at home and being able to, yeah, kind of be independent again. So,
How did you go about choosing your major? What like
um,
influenced you to choose your major?
yeah, again, I was really big into entrepreneurship, business. I wanted to be a business person. um, I used to watch I used to watch like CNBC and Bloomberg, and just because I had an interest and a passion in like the stock market and business. So I decided to study economics. I actually got accepted into the College of Arts and Science at NYU, so not into the business school, SNERN. And the College of Arts and Science, they have, economics is a social science. So I wound up, and that was the only like business major in the school. So I was like, that's the only choice that I have because I'm in this school. I mean, I could have transferred over to Stern, but I didn't. So I wound up studying economics. I was kind of tossing between economics and computer science, only because, again, when I was in high school, I was in an engineering program. We did a lot of computer science things as well. So I had a little bit of an interest in that. But my passion was more on the business front. So I decided to study economics.
Okay. And so you mentioned that you studied abroad in Madrid.
Mhm.
How was that experience?
Madrid was great. I had my own apartment in Madrid. I was like 20 years old. It was fun. I had like a lot of my friends from New York came to see me. Um, once you're in Europe, you are close to the other countries, obviously like France and Italy and things like that. It's like a quick 1 hour, 2 hour plane ride. So it's like imagine being in New York and you're going to like Florida or something, right? Uh, so I was able to travel to various European countries, which was a lot of fun because it was an expensive one, and it didn't take you 6, 8 hours to get there. Um, but my purpose, because I was studying Spanish, I wanted to get better at speaking Spanish, right? So that was like one of the purposes behind why I decided to go. And I got accepted into the program and, took Spanish classes, classes only in Spanish, but they spoke only Spanish. And I struggled a little bit, but, I got better as I kind of went along. But I met a lot of great people, some that I'm still friends with today who are from Spain, still live in Spain. So I cherish like those relationships. And yeah, like I got the opportunity again to kind of see a different culture, and experience their food and how they live their lives and kind of adjust myself to their culture, which was really fun, and got to experience various again European cultures as well as a result of that. So I accomplished my purpose. I traveled. It was, learned a little Spanish, and yeah, and got to experience being independent in a foreign country. I did cry. I remember my first week in Spain. I was like, "What am I doing? Why did I decide to come here?" I told my mom. I was like, "Oh my god, I want to come back." And like back in the day, we only had like, there was no cell phones. There probably were cell phones, but so I just had a whole bunch of calling cards. So I had to buy calling cards and like call on like my house phone or on the payphone to call folks in New York. But then I got, you know, I would say like week two, I was good. But I was homesick for like that first week. I was like, I'm going back to New York. I don't know why I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. And so you mentioned that being in Spain, because of the proximity, it gave you the opportunity to visit some other places. Where else did you go while you were there?
I went to where did I go? I went to Paris and Rome. I went to Morocco. So Spain is really like neighboring Morocco. So I went to Morocco as well, which was really amazing. Uh, I feel like I went somewhere else. Oh, I went to London too. So yeah, I went to those four places.
Okay.
Uh, got to experience them.
So you were in Madrid for like a semester or so?
This is just one semester. Yeah.
Any like memorable happenings or events while you were there that you can share?
Memorable events while I was in Spain, in Europe. I'm thinking so many memories. But what's really fun, I went to my first bull fight. Is it like,
Mhm.
yeah, which is cool, but like kind of gross at the same time. So like, yeah. So I went to my first one. I haven't been back since. I don't know if I'll go back to another one, but essentially, you have like the bull fighter or whatever. I don't even know what they're called, but
Matador.
they literally kill the bull. They had the bull charging at them, and then they wound up killing the bull, which is a little sad. But I got to experience that. It was interesting to see, definitely. So it sticks in my head as a standout memory amongst the ones I'm not going to talk about on this podcast.
Okay. So once you returned to the States and you're back, in your regular college grind, did you have any internships or anything like that while you were in college?
I did. So I went through a program called Inroads. Inroads is a program for, again, excuse me, for minority students in college, and also their senior year in high school, where they provide professional development workshops and classes and education. But their main purpose, in addition to that professional development, is to provide you with internships. So I wanted to get an internship. So they essentially place you at different companies over the summer. And I wanted to get an internship at a bank, JP Morgan primarily. That was like one of their sponsoring companies. But I didn't get that one. I wound up getting a job or an internship for 2 summers at Lord & Taylor, which is a retailer. Um, a national retailer, and I was in the buying department. So I was with a buyer for 2 summers, and the first summer they had me in women's swimwear, where it was really cool actually. So I got to go to the different showrooms and see the different bathing suits and things of that nature. So like, you would go there, like they would have models modeling the bathing suits, which is pretty cool. But also got to really learn about retail in a different way, from like being a salesperson to like understanding the numbers and how they decide um, what merchandise are they going to purchase nationally, like what's selling in different markets. So that was something that was really cool. So I did that, and I also had an internship at an investment bank. I don't remember the name of it. It was a small boutique investment bank that I did for maybe a semester. So those were the 2 internships that I did throughout my college career.
Okay. And then once you graduated from college, what was your first job?
Yeah. So because I had this internship, which is really good, my first job was actually at JP Morgan Chase.
Oh,
So the internship that I wanted to get in college, I wound up getting a job with the bank when I graduated. So they placed me in apparel, textile, and jewelry industry at the bank. So I was a credit analyst. So essentially in the middle market department. So a middle market, they deal with companies that make like $10 million to maybe $100 million in revenue. And under middle market, they may have like various divisions. So my division was apparel, textile, and jewelry. I was able to get that job because I had this internship essentially at Lloyd & Taylor, so I understood the retail industry from a business standpoint. And yeah, so we lent money to apparel, textile, and jewelry company. That's what I did. So I supported in my first year and a half. I supported relationship managers who had the relationships with some of these large apparel and jewelry brands. And I supported on the back end in terms of like doing some of the analysis to see whether or not some of these companies could get like lines of credit, term loans to support the operations and growth of their businesses.
With that being your first job and you were in this internship program while you were in school, did that lead to you getting the position? Or I guess what was the like your job search process? How'd you end up with that position?
So from what I can remember, I think I got the job because at NYU they set up like job fairs
Mm.
As a senior or maybe junior. I don't remember which year it was. So they had a job fair, and JP Morgan was one of the recruiters at the job fair, and I met them there. And they, and the person that I interviewed with or that I met at the job fair, she was in the apparel, textile, and jewelry division at JP Morgan Chase. So I guess like once you saw my resume that I had, this internship at Lloyd Taylor, like it was a great fit. And that's what I wanted. So I was like, yeah, I got what I wanted, JP Morgan. So it all worked out.
Once you moved into that first job at JP Morgan, how'd you find the transition from school to the working world? Did you feel prepared for your first job and for your career?
Yeah. So the good thing about Chase or JP Morgan Chase is that they take you through if you get accepted into this credit analyst program, they take you through I think it was like 3-month training program. So essentially, I was with my peers who were like my age. We were all like 21, 22 years old. And we all went through, Chase took us all through a 3-month training program to learn how to become a credit analyst. But it felt like I was in school again. So they were paying me to learn. So we had different modules, accounting, credit analysis, risk management. And so essentially, it was like being in school all over again, but this time I was getting paid and I wasn't like taking out loans to learn. So it was great. I was like, I'm making money and I'm learning and I'm with my friends. I have new friends. So yeah, it was like being in school all over again. So after you go through this 3-month training program, then they place you in like a division, essentially. And again, my division was this apparel, textile, and jewelry division. And I got placed there, and then things changed, obviously. So I wasn't, with people my age. I wasn't just learning in a classroom setting. Now I was doing the work, really supporting these relationship managers and bankers. So that transition was, it was fun. I learned a ton. Met with a lot of like CFOs and CEOs of different apparel and jewelry companies, which was really fun and exciting, and got to learn a lot. The culture of banking, or the culture at JP Morgan Chase at the time, was very formal, very you had to dress up every day in a suit, which I liked, but I didn't like at the same time. But it was just very formal, and I think eventually, after being there for 4 years, I was ready to kind of transition out of like the culture of like being in a very formal environment.
Looking back now,
Hmm.
to like when you first graduated, or let's say in that first job out of school, is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew when you first graduated?
When I first graduated, that I know now, it's a lot, but uh, I would say, you know, um, so even like when I was at Chase, I wanted to like start a business. Like that spirit of entrepreneurship didn't leave me from a kid. So I already had it in my mind. I was like, I'm gonna like start a business. Um, so although like I gave it my all at the job, I felt like I could have went deeper. So sometimes we have a vision in terms of like what we want for our life, but there's a journey to get there, right? There's steps you have to essentially get prepared to do what you have been called to do, or whatever it is you want to do. So I wish that I would have taken more advantage of that opportunity of being there. And I did, I learned a lot. I met a lot of great people, and it was a great foundation to learn and understand credit and how, read financial statements and things like that. But, I wish I would have maybe connected more with upper management and things like that, and develop those relationships a little bit more. I was just so focused on what was next that I didn't really, I wasn't necessarily super present in the moment at that job, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you said that after about 4 years of being at Chase, you wanted to experience a different kind of environment. And so eventually you left the company. Was there like a specific moment that sort of gave you the motivation to say, well, the time is now for me to leave, or did like events
Yeah,
just come
there
about?
was. There was. I was laid off. This is like in 2008, like when the whole credit thing happened.
Okay.
So like it was, that happened. So I transitioned out of Chase once the entire economy crashed, and um, and then I was like, all right, this is the perfect time. I'm going to start a business, which I did with a friend of mine. We had a company called Papers NYC, and we were teaching people on how to use technology. So like websites, like how to build a website, how to use PowerPoint, how to use Excel, and how to use, just different technology tools. And also some business as well. We dabbled like how to start a business and things like that. So I had my first company with my friend, and we had it for 2 years. And it was fun. It was a good ride.
If you can tell me about the journey that you took to get to, your current position and where you are now.
Yeah. So so me and my partner at the time where we had our business together, like we had a falling out. So we wound up like going our separate ways. We're friends today, but it took us some time to get there. uh, so I wound up going back into the to the job field and looking for a job, and I got a job at NYC Business Solutions, which is a program under the Department of Small Business Services here in New York City. So it's a government agency essentially that provides business services to small businesses and entrepreneurs in New York. So I started out as a account manager, essentially providing services to small businesses. So it would be things like courses, again, like business classes, providing them with legal assistance, helping them to get access to financing. And then I was promoted to a director where I managed the center essentially, right? So each borough has either one or two business service centers. So I was the director of the Queens Business Solution Center for several years, and again, learned a lot. Met even more people. So like not only in finance, but in that position, I was able to meet, because you had to like really travel within your borough to like different types of communities. Whether it's churches or the religious community, whether it's politicians, whether it's bankers, whether it's nonprofits or community development organizations. So I was able to kind of like really build a strong network there and learn more about small business and not necessarily like middle market businesses, which I was used to when I was working at the bank. So I saw a different side of business, and I loved it. Right, so I was working with more people that were getting started, or they were still kind of like mom and pop shops. Um, and I did that for several years, and decided to quit my job about 4 years ago to launch my current company, which is called Progress Playbook. So I discovered through my journey that I'm a teacher. So this company, Progress Playbook, is a business training and service platform. And essentially what we do is we design customized learning experiences, our education experiences to help entrepreneurs to start and grow their businesses. So our clients or our customers are really organizations. We deal a lot with like government agencies, nonprofits, and some corporations. And essentially we design training programs for them that we facilitate to the people that they serve, or they facilitate it themselves. So yeah, we've been doing that for 4 years. It's been great. And I love it. Yeah.
Okay. And so you're now the founder and CEO at Progress Playbook, which is your company. Did you found the company by yourself or did you have a co-founder?
No, I founded it by myself. Yeah. So that was 4 years ago. I quit my job and I just said, I'm going to jump into this thing. And yeah.
Okay. And so is it still just you or do you have other people working with you?
Yeah. So now we're a team of 7, which is pretty
Okay.
cool. And yeah, again, we design these curriculums, we design programs. We have a program for example, we have a program for actors. So one of our clients is the Actors Fund. So they hired us to design a program to help actors and entertainers like start sideline businesses as they pursue their art. So, people on Broadway and actors, and they have what we call episodic income. So you might get a gig for 6 months, and then you'll have income, and then your income might go down because the gig is over, right? So through this program, we help them to create more sustainable income and have more independence through creating businesses, essentially. So we train them on how to start and grow their businesses so that they can have more sustainable income and independence as they're still pursuing their first love of art, acting, and things of that nature. That's an example of a program. It's about a 6-month program that they go through with various stages that we designed in collaboration with the Actors Fund and also facilitate as well.
As the founder of this company and also having a team, uh, what does an average day look like for you? What kind of things are you working on?
I don't know. It's not really. I can't say it's an average day because every day is very different. It depends. Like today, I'm working on product development, so I'm like creating curriculum for a new client. Um, and so it can range depending on the day, but it can be anything from doing business development, meaning that we're like actively pursuing new clients, excuse me, or re-engaging with old clients to see if there's like additional business that we can collaborate or have, as creating new products continuously. That's for us is creating curriculum. It's connecting with the team, making sure that we're kind of on task to accomplish our goals. I teach as well, so I do a lot of like yesterday. I taught 2 classes. I taught for about what was that, 4 hours yesterday. So I do that. So it really depends on the day, but most of it is business development, product development. And then you have the actual service delivery. So for us, a lot of that is teaching and executing programs, and then making sure that as a team we're all on the same page in terms of being able to accomplish some of our goals.
Taking into consideration like your experiences and where you are now,
hmm
how would you personally define success? Or what does success look like to you?
Um, that's a great question. Success in life or in business or the world. Yeah. So I always say, so like our mission at Progress Playbook is to help entrepreneurs to design the business life and world that they love. Right. So for me, I guess at the base of it all is really about love, and love could look a lot of different ways for different people. Um, so I would say for me, it's a couple things, right? So it's really about having a balance in my life. It's about having wealth in my life in these different areas. But the root of all of that is really about love, right? So how am I going to essentially make life better for other people through all the talents and gifts and resources that I have? So in order to do that, I have to make sure that I'm healthy, that I'm working out, that I'm eating well, that I have like really great relationships, that I'm taking care of my emotional and mental health. Um, it means that, I have to have peace at home, right? So for me, it's about having um, balance and wealth really in every area of my life so that I can uh, give of myself freely to help other people to accomplish their dreams and goals and things of that nature.
Taking that into consideration and where you are currently,
Hmm.
um, would you say that the current reality of your career has matched, surpassed, or fallen short of your aspirations and expectations?
Um, so there's a lot more to go, right? So I'm just, we're 4 years in, uh, and there's a lot more building to do. I'm a builder of businesses, and I want to do a lot more. I want to build other types of businesses as well. And I feel like I'm just getting started, but I had a lot of preparation that I had to prepare for to get to this point. Um, I feel I'm happy where I am right now, and looking forward to what's to come. So I would say, um, I feel like right here, but I want to go here. I
Okay.
don't feel like it's below. I feel like I'm good, but with a desire to do more. Yeah.
Okay. And so with that desire to do more, what goals or plans are you currently pursuing, either specifically for 2019 or even beyond that?
Yeah, so we have a goal to support 2,000 entrepreneurs in New York City this year. So that's a goal that we're aggressively pursuing, and that when we say to support them with through our programs and through our services that we provide. So we also do services as well. So things like business planning, business formation, strategy sessions, branding, consulting, and creating websites and things of that nature. So our goal is to support 2,000 entrepreneurs this year. So that's a big goal for us, and also to launch our first online course is another big goal for us this year. So we're launching a course on like a playbook on how to start a business in New York City. We've been working on it for some time, and essentially the program is we interview 10 entrepreneurs that launched businesses in New York City. So the founder of Baked by Melissa, the founder of Tough Mudder, the founder of a fashion brand called Laquan Smith, Fool Goes Record, Melba's restaurant in Harlem, and a few other people. And essentially we have like their step-by-step stories in terms of how they started their businesses, how they built them, while they're based in New York City, the challenges around building in New York City. And we're launching a course, one, telling their stories, but then two, kind of building curriculum around their stories in terms of how anyone in New York City can actually do the same thing. So we're kind of providing a model or examples to show that it's possible, and kind of a roadmap based on what they did, how others can follow that roadmap to success, or at least business success. Yeah. So those are two short-term goals I would say that we have for this year.
Looking at where you are now and like your journey since you
Hmm.
graduated from college,
Hmm.
what career or life advice would you offer to either your younger self or any young person that's still in school or just getting ready to enter the workforce?
I think a lot of different things, but I would say one, it's really about getting to know yourself uh, um, is really important, right? So every single thing that we create is an extension of like who we are, right? So what I create in the world is a reflection of me. So I need to make sure that I'm well, right? To be able to create great things in the world that really serves people the right way. So taking a lot of time to get to know who you are, to love who you are, to embrace, um, you know, your weaknesses and your strengths. Um, so really taking the time out to understand yourself and to understand that you have to be patient and like and growth. Like it doesn't happen overnight, right? So transformation is a process, is not an event. It doesn't happen like kind of instantaneously. And so that's one. Two, definitely like being able to build relationships. So to get to new levels in business or in life, it normally requires a relationship to open up a door, a relationship to get access to something, right? Whether that's you helping someone to get access or open up a door for them, or somebody opening the door for you and giving you access. So being more intentional behind designing and developing uh, relationships is super important. I wish I would have done a little bit sooner. I knew that it was important, but I think I took it for granted. I didn't really have a plan, right? So I think it's important to have a plan behind how you are going to develop relationships, right? So if you want to work out and have a nice body, or be healthy, you would have a plan. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to eat these types of food, right? So I think we have to be just as intentional when it comes to developing our relationships. So how many people I'm going to, connect with this week? What kind of value am I going to add to them, right? So those are two things. So like really about personal development, and then the other one would be around intentionality as it relates to relationships.
We're now in 2019, but imagine it's years from now and you're nearing or already retired. When you look back over your career, what accomplishments or achievements would make you consider it a roaring success versus mediocre or disappointing?
I mean, I want to say that I've been able to build like several different types of companies. I don't know how many yet, but I have this passion to build more. To have an international business for me, that would be really cool and successful, and really that. And through all of these endeavors, obviously, it's really at the basis of it all is really about making life better for people, right? So you go into business um, to add value, to make life better for someone else. So I think through this aspiration to want to build businesses, the purpose of it is really to make life better, and to I want to be able to teach other people how to be uh, givers through business, though, right? So our goal, one of my goals, is to be a builder of businesses, but to be a giver and to be really intentional behind what that looks like. So success for me would be to to leave a legacy of that, leave a legacy of our culture of the purpose of building this thing is to really give it away, to give to people. So yeah.
And then think about people or events, famous or only known to you, that have motivated, inspired, or influenced you in your career. Does anyone or anything in particular come to mind?
Steve Jobs, I study him a lot. I like what he's done, and I know it's a common entrepreneur. But definitely Steve Jobs. I read a lot of the Bible. Like I feel like you want to know how to build a business. Like you look in that book, it'll teach you about how to build a business, how to manage relationships. So that's a big source of like inspiration and guidance for me. I mean, there's some local folks, in my neighborhood that I look up to. Some people on Instagram that I think are doing really well as well, that I follow and look up to in terms of their success and like what they've been able to create and impact the world through.
Final question. Are there any specific books that have influenced or inspired you?
Mm. Yeah, so obviously as an entrepreneur, you got to do a lot of reading. So some of the books that have inspired me, Start with the Why, written by Simon Sinek, is a great book that I always recommend, and it really talks about like why do you do what you do, right? And really starting from that place of the why. That's one book. I'm going to speak from the landscape of entrepreneurship. The E Myth, written by Michael Gerber, is a great book. Talks a lot about entrepreneurship and like the journey of it, and it talks about this concept of the entrepreneur, technician, and manager. I'm not going to get into all the specifics, but that's also another good book if you're looking to become an entrepreneur, and really being able to understand the journey. Again, like I said earlier, the Bible for me is like the best kind of business book or life book that really kind of informs my decisions. What else? What other book would I recommend? What am I reading right now? I'm reading this book called Finishing or Finish. And it's really about, when you're setting up goals, like how do you actually finish things, right? So I think a lot of us start things but don't finish things, and it's better to finish than to start. So I want to be able to, one, help myself to finish what I start, and then two, being able to inspire or equip other people to do the same.
And do you
So
remember the author of that book?
it's called Finish, and it's written by John Acuff.
Okay.
So give yourself the gift of done.
Thank you very much for participating in the interview series. Any final thoughts that you want to share?
No, just be great. Life is short. We only have. I ask my students a lot of times, how many months do you think, on average, do you think there are in a lifetime, right? So if you live to 80 years old, there's 900 on average. Well, if you live to 80 years old, it's only 960 months in an 80-year-old's lifetime, right? And when you think about 960 months, it doesn't seem
Like a lot.
a lot.
Seems like a little.
Exactly. So, if you look at your current age, you're like, well, how many months do I actually have left, right? So I think it's really important to be conscious of time, and to be able to use your time wisely. So whatever it is on your heart to do, just kind of go after it. And our job as humans, I think, is to do good work, right? So what's the good work that you want to do, and to invest your time wisely and being able to do that.
Key takeaways. You're in college to learn, and studying is important, but be sure to also take time to enjoy your youth, freedom, and the experience. Interact with other students to learn about where they're from and their culture, and if possible, take advantage of opportunities to study abroad. Good internships will allow you to learn skills and gain experience in areas that will prepare you for your post-college career. Some large companies also offer training programs for new grads that can ease the post-college transition and set you on a solid track for success in your career. You have to know and take care of yourself in order to contribute to the world. Be patient and understand that growth doesn't happen overnight. Transformation is a process, not an event. Advancing in business or moving up in life often requires building relationships to open doors or get access. That might be you helping or being helped by someone else. Be genuine and intentional in building and managing relationships. And again, I'm looking for career interview subjects. The link in the description will take you to the career interviews page on the Noir Histoire website. So if you or someone you know might be interested in sharing their career journey, you'll be able to get more info about the interview process and submit a request to participate. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you subscribe and return to get motivated, get inspired, and get stories of Black history made and in the making. Until next time, take care. For more information about Noir Histoire, visit the Noir Histoire website. There you'll find text, video, and audio for each episode all in one place. Subscribe to the Noir Histoire newsletter to get fresh content delivered straight to your email inbox. You can also subscribe to the Noir Histoire YouTube channel for videos. If you're enjoying the content but would prefer to listen to audio, you can subscribe to the Noir Histoire podcast. Follow Noir Histoire on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Enjoy the rest of your day.